Okay, so we are talking about the digestive tract, anxiety, mental health issues. This used to be unappreciated, the connection between digestive health and the digestive tract and mental health, psychological health. It used to be underappreciated. At least when I graduated pharmacy school, it's only been the last 20 or 30 years that we've begun to delve deeply into what has been called the gut-brain axis. Love that term. In a May 2013 article in the journal Trends in Neuroscience, the headline, The Gut-Brain Axis, How the Microbiome Influences Anxiety and Depression. Microbiome is the fancy scientific word that describes the universe of bacteria that live in our gut. Micro for microbes or microscopic life. Biome for the world or the universe of biology. Microbiome meaning the bacterial universe that live in our digestive tract. The microbiome, or the gut-brain axis, how the microbiome influences anxiety and depression. This was an article that described the link between the stuff that comes out of bacteria, the stuff that bacteria emit, and their relationship to the nervous system and the brain. Bacteria in the microbiome can even affect our food choices. If you think that hamburger looks good, it may be the bacteria that are telling you that. How interesting is that? Our food choices, at least according to an article that was published in Science Daily, and that was in turn an article that reported on a study that showed up in the journal Bioessays. According to the article, researchers concluded that microbes in the gut influence the dietary choices we make to favor foods they like. That's amazing. The bacteria in the gut will actually affect our brain to want us to eat certain foods, at least according to this study in the journal Bioessays. And what kind of foods? Foods they need, foods they like, foods they need to grow on. So not only are these bacteria essential for making vitamins and detoxifying poisons, not only are these probiotic bacteria that live in the microbiome, that compose the microbiome, important for helping us digest our food, utilize our food, absorb our food. Not only are these bacteria critical for the health of the digestive tract, for the intestine, but these bacteria are really clever. They're proactive. They don't sit around waiting for us to pick the right foods. They actively make us eat stuff they want, as opposed to just sitting around waiting for whatever food happens to drop down our gullet. That's amazing. This relationship between bacteria in the gut and psychological health and mental health is articulated really well in a book called The GAPS Diet, the Gut and Psychology, or the GAPS Syndrome, the Gut and Psychology Syndrome. That's the relationship between the bacteria that live in the gut and our mental health. Author Natasha Campbell. I always get her name wrong. Natasha Campbell. Love this book, and this is a must-have for anybody dealing with psychological health issues, mental health issues, and especially important if you're dealing with autism, or you have a child who has autism, or you know somebody who has autism, or schizophrenia, or any psychotic disorder. The substances that are emitted from the bacteria are called endotoxins. That means toxins within. Endo for inside, toxins for poisons. Poisons within, toxins within. Under ordinary circumstances, these endotoxins that get secreted out of the bacteria, they stay in the intestine as long as the digestive tract is healthy and strong and robust. And of course, we know that's not always the case. For most of us anyway, our digestive systems are not healthy and strong and robust over the course of our lives, especially if we're subsisting on the standard American diet. We're not getting enough nutrients we need. We're not eating correctly. We're not supplementing. For many of us, over the course of time, little leaks develop in the gut. We've talked about this many times. It's called leaky gut syndrome. And the blood, the systemic fluid, the blood that travels throughout the body, is located on the other side of the intestine. So when you get these leaks, leaks in the gut, endotoxins from the bacteria can get into the blood, and then we're off to the disease races, and all kinds of problems can result from this condition called sepsis, S-E-P-S-I-S, which doctors know is life-threatening, but it doesn't have to be that bad. It can be subclinical. It could be a minor kind of sepsis, a subclinical sepsis, subclinical dirty blood that's still affecting our health and still affecting our mental health. Leaky gut syndrome is not uncommon, and eventually, for a lot of folks, these endotoxins, these toxins within, these poisons within, will get into the blood, they'll create toxicity throughout the body, and especially in the brain. And once these toxins get into the blood, and once they get into the brain, the body will interpret this as some kind of survival threat. Indeed, it is a survival threat. And if this happens chronically, we will be under a survival threat imperative. Our bodies will be secreting the biochemistry of survival. Not good. The biochemistry of survival is important for surviving, of course, but it's not good for long term. So if we're chronically eating the wrong kinds of food, and over the course of time, our digestive system is breaking down, and over the course of time, these wrong foods are feeding the wrong kinds of bacteria, and over the course of time, these bacteria, these wrong kinds of bacteria are secreting poisons into the blood, eventually, we're going to be running into survival mode. We're going to be running into anxiety and jitteriness and nervousness. We're going to be running into activation of the survival system in terms of blood pressure, in terms of constipation, in terms of hypothyroidism. All of these are signs that the body feels like there's a survival threat, or is feeling like there's a survival threat chronically. This is not a good situation, obviously. This connection between the brain and the digestive system is really starting to become understood, and it's something that we really want to take into account. It doesn't seem on the surface of it that there would be a relationship between mental health and the health of the microbiome, but indeed there is, and we have to take an intuitive leap. We have to take an intuitive leap to understand this connection. And of course, it's so easy to correct. So easy to correct. First thing you want to do is make sure you're getting on a good probiotic supplement, and of course eating fermented foods as well. Buy Illumina Nightly Essence, get a book called The Art of Fermentation, eat sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, tempeh, etc. Health is easy, you guys. That's what The Bright Side's all about. We'll be back right after this. It's open for you. We'll get your calls here in a moment. At the bottom of the hour, 844-236-6010. If you've got questions about anything you may have read about, heard about, the longevity products, if you've got questions about that, I guess it's an email, or it was a web posting article that showed up on a website about the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I'm still getting emails about that. Tom writes, seems like there's a class action lawsuit coming your way. I don't think so, Tom. BTT was tested, and this is Tom writing, BTT was tested and found to be full of fluoride, phosphate, and alumina. Really? I don't think so. You guys, you got to read the article. You got to be readers, not headline readers, but article readers. A lot of times the headlines don't really describe what the article, and this is true just in general, a lot of times headlines don't describe what articles are talking about, and in this piece it's really kind of egregious. The poison, and then the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and of course there's nothing about testing or poison in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine if you read the article. Anyway, if you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, something you read, we're here for you. We can help clear up the confusion, and we can help you change your life. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll get your calls here in a moment, or at the bottom of the hour. Okay, so there's an important relationship between brain chemicals and feelings of anxiety. Before we went to break, we said there's an important relationship between the chemicals that come out of bacteria and anxiety. There's also a relationship between brain chemicals. They're called neurotransmitters. We'll just call them brain chemicals. Brain chemicals and neurotransmitters, whatever you want to call them, and feelings of anxiety. There's lots of these brain chemicals floating around, and each of them are going to affect a different part of the brain. There's lots of these neurotransmitters, if you prefer, floating around, and each of them will affect a different part of the brain. And by the way, there are a lot of these neurotransmitters. Just 30 years ago, I graduated pharmacy school in 1986. Just 29, 30 years ago, we only knew about 4 or 5 neurotransmitters. These days, there's probably 50 neurotransmitters. They keep discovering more and more neurotransmitters, brain chemicals. These brain chemicals are associated with various feelings of jitteriness, nervousness, calmness, relaxation. There's brain chemicals that are associated with feelings of pleasure and drowsiness and satiety. There's brain chemicals that are involved with feelings of anger and nervousness, anxiety. Even paranoia can be associated with certain brain chemicals. These days, there's actually medical folks who believe that you can do things in your life to support the health of these brain chemicals. In the book, The Edge Effect, Dr. Eric Braverman, who is well known for talking about these brain chemicals and ways that you can modulate these brain chemicals. He's got a couple of books about amino acids and proteins, and The Edge Effect is specifically about brain chemicals. In the book, he talks about eating for your brain chemicals. For example, the brain chemical called ACH, or acetylcholine, we're just going to call it ACH. This brain chemical is involved in keeping electrical energy moving through the brain in a smooth fashion. Electricity's got to travel through the body and through the brain in a nice smooth way. And ACH supports that. Deficiencies in brain ACH can lead to memory problems, learning problems, difficulties concentrating, bipolar disorder, mood swings, Alzheimer's disease, and other dementias are associated with ACH deficiency. There's no medical cure for Alzheimer's dementia. The pharmacomedical model, the drug model of treating, or of actually, it can really treat ACH, but improving the symptoms of ACH. At least one of the pharmacomedical approaches is to use drugs that support the production of ACH. ACH drugs, ACH supporting drugs like Aricept, which is one of the most important Alzheimer's disease drug, Exelon, Razidine. These all work by helping keep ACH levels up in the brain. They work by poisoning. All drugs have a poisonous effect, all of them. That's how they work, and Aricept and Exelon are no different, and Razidine and these ACH drugs are no different. They work by poisoning the chemistry that is involved in the elimination of ACH. This is a favorite strategy of the pharmacomedical model when it comes to brain health issues. This is how SSRIs drugs work. This is how a lot of illegal drugs work, too, like cocaine works this way. These drugs suppress the body's ability to eliminate ACH, to eliminate neurotransmitters, to eliminate brain chemicals. Brain chemicals are supposed to be eliminated as they're made. They get made, they do their reaction, and then they are eliminated. And they only have a very, very short life. By poisoning the clearance of these drugs, SSRI drugs and these ACH drugs, by poisoning the clearance or the elimination of these drugs, they keep the levels higher in the brain. It's never a good idea to poison anything in the body. This is not good. This is crazy science. It's crazy healthcare. And it's only because we're just under this delusion that the medical model is some kind of deity, that it can do no wrong, that it's like the Pope, it's infallible. Well, no, it's not like the Pope, or maybe it is like the Pope, it's fallible. The medical model is based in shutting things down. It's really ridiculous when you think about it, and using drugs like like Aricept and Exelon and Razidine and SSRI type drugs to poison the body's built-in clearance system is really nuts. According to Dr. Braverman, you can use dietary strategies to keep your ACH levels high, your acetylcholine levels high. He suggests using wheat germ, cruciferous veggies, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, high-protein foods, cheese, eggs, fish, soy. These are all ACH-boosting foods. You might want to try them if you're dealing with dementia issues, if you're dealing with bipolar issues, if you're dealing with any kind of mood disorders, if you're dealing with learning difficulties, you got a kid who's dealing with learning difficulties, send them off to school with some broccoli. Just steam the broccoli, put some butter and salt, and make a broccoli and egg breakfast. Eggs are also, by the way, a good source for helping build ACH. Eggs contain something called choline. And by the way, choline is a wonderful, wonderful brain nutrient. You can use it as a supplement. You can get it in eggs. You can get it in lecithin. You can use lecithin as a supplement in addition to helping you digest your food. It's also a source of choline. I like the B complex. I like choline, lecithin, for improving the symptoms of dementia, as well as just for general brain health issues, or general brain health. And by the way, in my personal experience, there is a lot you can do to improve the symptoms of Alzheimer's patients. I don't know necessarily about curing it, although I suspect that might be possible, but certainly you can improve the symptoms of Alzheimer's dementia by using nutrition and dietary strategies. I've seen it many, many, many times, more times than I can count. I've seen people with Alzheimer's disease improve their symptoms using dietary strategies, using the B complex and products like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Alzheimer's patients are for the most part elderly. That means for the most part they've had many years of subjecting their body to nutritional deficiency, of subjecting their body to digestive system abuse, of subjecting their body to strategies that break down the digestive system. But because the brain burns through nutrients quickly, when you replace the B complex, when you replace essential fatty acids, when you replace minerals, when you start to use choline, when you start to use lecithin, in my personal experience, many dementia patients will respond, and respond quickly, many times within 24 to 48 hours. There's no drugs that can do that. Folks, there's no prescription drugs on the planet that can have the same kind of powerful effects, non-toxic effects, for Alzheimer's patients and dementia patients in general as the B complex, choline, and lecithin as well. All right, we're coming back with your phone calls. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Let's go to New York and welcome Ray to The Bright Side. Good morning, Ray.
Hey, good morning, Ben. How are you today?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
Hey, I've talked to you in the past. I'm in Syracuse. I just love your show.
Thank you. And by the way, did you tell me in the past you're from Syracuse?
Yes. Yep.
What is Syracuse like these days? You know, I lived there for a while, right? We talked about that probably,
I know,
right?
yeah. Hey, today's bright and sunny. We got maybe 2-3 inches of snow on the ground. It's been light season for snow.
Did they clean up the city? Nah, you're laughing.
I believe it's in decent shape. It's not Baltimore, but it's not Buffalo. So.
All right, they gentrified it. They fixed it up a little bit. Did they fix it up a little bit since the 70s and 80s when I was there?
Oh, quite a bit.
Okay,
good deal. And even the universities moved into the downtown now with different buildings.
Where do you live in Syracuse? Just real quick, where do you live in Syracuse before you lose before everybody?
I live in the suburbs, in the burbs in Manlius.
Okay, good. All right, cool. What's your question, Ray?
Hey, I missed your show on Monday, but I know you were going to talk about brain health, and you're going on with that again today. But I wrote this article about 2 years ago, which was it transformed me. It was about MCTs associated medium chain triglycerides. Medium chain triglycerides. Yep, medium chain triglycerides. Yep.
Oh, they're awesome.
And interacting with how they interact with ketones with certain diets. Diets that produce more ketones. This article was about a woman who was a doctor who was reading the American Medical Journal, and she was astounded to see a pharmaceutical quote breakthrough with this new pill coming out that would not stabilize but somewhat reverse Alzheimer's and what's the other Alzheimer's and the other brain disease. But anyways, she was really attracted to this article in the AMA because her husband of 35 years, who was an accountant, she's a doctor, had succumbed to Alzheimer's, and he didn't recognize anyone in his family. He's at that point where at the point of quote unquote no return. However, she read this article in AMA, and the main ingredient in this pharmaceutical. MCT? Coconut oil.
Oh, yeah. Coconut oil is about 65% or so MCTs. Coconut oil is.
She was astounded that the article said it not only stabilized the condition, but it improved it, which she said, in her opinion, no other drug did that. So
can you imagine this?
It's crazy. So she gives her husband a tablespoon of oil, coconut oil, in the morning and in the afternoon or in the evening.
And what happened?
Well, she gave him a clock test, which they give Alzheimer's patients. Draw the face of a clock, 1 through 12 in the hand.
Right.
And on day 1, he drew a scribbly, not even a circle. Day 7 or 8, after 1 week, he drew the face of a clock with 80% of the numbers in their place. After 2 weeks, he drew almost a perfect clock once again. After 3 weeks,
that's great.
It was a perfect clock.
I'm telling you, man, this is what we're capable
of. His family, everybody. After 2 months, he's balanced. He couldn't even walk. He had this gaunt. She said a gaunt that he was unstable walking. He lost his gaunt. He could communicate. He knew everybody.
That's amazing.
Now he jogs, and now he volunteers at the hospital.
And all he's doing is coconut oil, nothing else?
Coconut oil. But she did say when he goes off of it for a couple of days, he starts to succumb again.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
Are the trigger. So
MCTs they're amazing. When I worked at University Hospital here in Denver as a pharmacist, I worked in what they call PEDS ICU and also neonatal ICU. These just tragic places. Denver is sort of a regional hub for folks to come, for kids and parents to bring their children to, when they're sick, they come to University Hospital, and so there's a lot of really sick children with digestive problems, especially with digestive problems, preemies and such. And these are kids who used to be, in the pharmacy, we would fill daily dose of coconut oil and MCT for these kids because MCTs are easy for the body to absorb. They're tremendously effective for digestive health, and they're very, very important, as you say, for brain health. And by the way, if you're trying to diet, MCTs, medium-chain triglycerides, are burnt preferentially for energy. So you'll get energy, and they're not stored. So they're burnt for energy. The body handles them tremendously effectively. And they're as easy to obtain as going to your health food store and getting a jug of coconut oil, which is delicious, by the way. Thank you for pointing all this out, Ray. I appreciate it. Do you use coconut oil?
Yeah, I use this brand called from the Wilderness family. It tastes just like butter. My kids don't even know the difference.
Oh, it's so delicious. It's better than, well, it's as good as butter. I mix butter and when I'm cooking eggs and stuff, I use both coconut oil and butter because I like the taste of butter.
Yeah, I mean, the transition was easy, but I just use coconut oil now.
Well, good for,
but also,
good for you.
I want to ask you a question about
sure.
when I love your products. I take everything from the BTT. It's changed my life. You know,
awesome.
I'm focused. I had ADHD, allegedly. I never took anything for it. But now, BTT, I take the OsteoFX. I take the few other things. I take the EFAs, of course, and the selenium, and I take the nightly essence. And
awesome.
I'm telling you, it just really has transported me. But my question is, when in relationship to eating food should I take these or some of these?
It doesn't really matter. Nah, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's nice to have a little digestive juices going when you're taking your supplements, so it makes it a little easier to absorb. But if you don't have any food around or you miss your supplements, it doesn't make that big a difference. If you really, really want it to max out on everything, probably there's certain foods and certain supplements you want to take with certain foods, or some on an empty, some on a full stomach. But for the most part, it's not a significant difference. For most of us, it's not going to make that much of a difference.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
And last thing, the nitrites. I heard you say they're okay, but I read a lot of bad things about how they interact with stomach acid. You know, so I stay away from them myself. But
well, you're not going to be able to stay away from them. They're found in foods. But as it turns out, the nitrates and the nitrites and the nitrates are actually used by the body to make nitric oxide, which is very important. And I haven't forgotten our topic. We're going to get to it. I've been digressing a little bit, as I like to do on this program. But we're going to get back to talking about nitrates and nitric oxide. I'm going to tell you why the thinking on nitrates and nitrates has changed over the last few years. 10, 15 years ago, they would tell you, oh, you got to stay away from them, they're cancer-causing, etc. These days, there's a lot of literature that supports actually going out of your way to eat nitrates and nitrites. In fact, there's a lot of folks who believe that some of the more common diets, health diets, not negatively, but good healthy diets that we're told that we're supposed to use, that we're supposed to indulge in, are actually nitric oxide building diets because they contain high levels of nitrates and nitrites. Got to move on. Thanks so much, Ray. I appreciate talking to you. Have a beautiful day, buddy. All right, we'll get to your phone calls when we come back. If you're on hold, hang tight. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. Robert in Nevada. What is going on? Good morning.
Good morning, Ben. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Sure. What's up?
Before I go any further, I got to say, Ben, if there was such thing as a Mount Rushmore of nutrition, 3 of the 4 heads would be you, Wallach, and Glidden.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and so does Dr. Glidden and Dr. Wallach. Thank you, buddy. I'm in good company if I'm with those guys.
Yeah, you are that. Let's get right to it. 2.5 months ago, I was in a bus crash, and I suffered some fractures in my spine and my shoulder.
Okay.
When I went to the room for treatment, I had some CT scans done, which shows some interesting things aside from the fractures. I've got some arthritis going on in my lower spine, and I have some polyps in my liver, large prostate, and high blood pressure also, which I knew that.
How old are you?
54 years old, 5'9", 190 pounds.
Okay, so you got... Here's the deal: the spine and the fractures and the healing is going to be impaired by the other problems that you're having. It sounds like your blood sugars the blood sugar's off, so you're going to want to work on that. I'll give you some ideas here in a second. And then you haven't said anything about your digestive system, but in my experience, when the blood sugar's off, that usually follows long-term problems with the digestive system. I've yet to see a blood sugar problem that does not have either an associated or a preceding digestive condition. I'm sorry, you're about to say something going on, heartburn, gas, bloating, constipation, that kind of thing, anything along those lines?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that will tie into what I'm eating, digestion, etc. So
it's usually the first thing, buddy. It's always, not usually, always the first thing that you want to focus on. You guys,
yes.
And I'm not just talking to Robert here. I'm talking to the listeners, okay, and Robert too. We want to really get this idea of the complicated nature of health out of our heads. That only serves power structures. That only serves doctors in the medical model. This idea that it's complicated and that we need tests and diagnostics and medications and we got to go back for visits, et cetera, it just serves the people who are billing us for this stuff. Health is simple, and what you got to do for Robert or anybody else listening who's got a health condition, and it may not seem like it's connected, but it is. You're not going to heal your spine as long as you have digestive problems. It may not seem like the digestion is related to the spine, but it is. Number one, always the first thing is going to be to get some data, assess what kind of foods you're having an issue with. Now, you can assume it's going to be a food that you love, because usually it is. You can assume it's the big five foods that cause digestive problems: grains, legumes, eggs, dairy, and shellfish. Food allergies, I should say. But it's even better just to jot down everything you eat and then how your body feels after, or jot down your digestive symptoms and then what you ate 2, 4, 6 hours before. Either direction. You can do it with your symptoms first or the foods first. But any way you look at it, you want to link your symptoms to your foods, and then you're going to eliminate those foods. Simultaneous with that, and this is for all health issues, you got to use digestive support, chief among which are going to be probiotics, as we've been talking about here today and yesterday. Probiotics, good bacteria. I love the Biolumin Nightly Essence, but you're going to have to play around with doses, and you may have to play around with brands. I would start off with the Biolumin Nightly Essence because it's got the enzymes in it, and it's got multiple strains. It's a good source of multiple strains of bacteria, and you're going to get a good healthy dose, and it's relatively cheap as far as these things go. But you might have to play around with the doses, and you might have to play around with the brands even. So about maybe 50 to 100 billion units a day. See how you do with that. Eat fermented foods as well. Then you're going to want to use digestive enzymes after all your meals, and apple cider vinegar as well. Robert, if there's any inflammation going on, and it sounds like there is, the digestive enzymes taken on an empty stomach can have anti-inflammatory properties. Empty stomach, anti-inflammation. With foods and apple cider vinegar, it'll help you digest your food. I love glutamine powder as a way of building the digestive tract. Same with the fucoidan Z or the Z radical. Fucoidan Z is probably a little better. And same with cartilage-containing products, cartilage-containing foods, I should say, like the bone soup, where you soak your bones you make soup out of the bones and let the cartilage sit in the water as the water boils. Put a little lemon juice or lime juice to help dissolve that cartilage. And all those long-chain sugars and protein sugar complexes that make up the cartilage will dissolve in the water, and they'll coat the digestive tract and help support its rebuilding and its overall health. Glucosamine, as we've said many times, which is used for arthritis and used for inflammatory diseases or inflammatory joint diseases like arthritis. Glucosamine can also help support the health of the digestive tract. So you may want to use the glucogel caps. And by the way, gelatin can also help. Gelatin is a type of collagen, and the amino acids in gelatin can also help build up the digestive tract lining. You can use gelatin capsules. The glucogel caps, of course, will help you that way. Or you can use Knox gelatin if you like, and bone soup also has some gelatin features or gelatin factors in there too. Stabilizing blood sugar means more protein, more good fat, and micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, especially the B complex, vitamin C, electrolytes like potassium and calcium, and then minerals like chromium and vanadium, which you'll find in the sweeties. Selenium can be important for helping the body process sugar, as well as sulfur. Use MSM, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day. You'll get some MSM in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. So Healthy Start Pack, Biolumin Nightly Essence, digestive enzymes with vinegar, fucoidan Z and Z radical, maybe a little glutamine powder, bone soup. Indulge yourself. Enjoy your bone soup. That can have some benefits, and then stabilize your blood sugar with the sweeties as well as with the B vitamins and electrolytes. And I got to move on, Robert. Anything else? Did I cover all the bases for you?
Yeah, quickly. Then I did a CDL physical yesterday. I'm a bus driver, and the young lady told me was protein in my urine, which could speak to dehydration. Is that an indicator of
kidneys?
Dehydration?
No, it sounds like a kidney problem. It sounds like your diabetes is starting to cause your kidneys to break down a little bit. The kidneys are like a spaghetti strainer for the blood. They're a strainer for the blood. They filter out the blood. Once the blood gets dirty, or once sugar starts to build up in the blood, that's where kidney problems happen. And kidney problems, you're not alone, Robert. They're almost like an epidemic. I would say 10, maybe 15% of the population is dealing with some kind of kidney issues, and it's not good at all. Fortunately, the kidneys are forgiving and resilient and strong, and many folks aren't going to notice they have kidney problems. Nonetheless, it's a big issue, and it's something you want to take care of. Consider kidney problems to be blood problems and sugar problems first and foremost. Thank you, buddy.
Good.
God bless. Have a beautiful day. All right, my friend Rose, what's up? Good morning.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Rose. Hey, Rose.
How you doing? Thank you again for your kindness and,
Sure.
love for you. I was going to ask you, I have a technical question, but I'll just have you, and I'll call you at a different, time.
Okay.
But when it comes to a person, I know of a case of a person that it's a unique situation, and the person got shot in the back, and has some fragments, I guess, of bullet
bullets?
fragments.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Near the spinal cord. Is there anything that, that the body, when I was studying anatomy and physiology, I know that the body itself tries to get rid of foreign objects out of your
Correct.
blood system.
If it can't, it'll wall them off. It'll create a little boundary, a pocket of tissue to surround it if it can't eliminate it. And usually, I don't know, if he's been shot, chances are it's going to be difficult for that to get eliminated. It'll just stay in the tissue, and you'll get inflammation in that area. It could be painful. You basically want to use anti-inflammatory strategies, essential fatty acids. Make sure he's staying away from pro-inflammatory foods, processed foods, sugar, and processed fats especially are the most pro-inflammatory foods. But that's a tall order for nutrition. The most important thing you want to do is keep inflammation down, keep the body's anti-inflammatory and inflammatory balance appropriate, and that basically means staying away from inflammatory foods, of which sugar is the most likely suspect. Thank you so much for your call, Rose. Appreciate it. I want to get one more call in if we can. Ed in Washington, welcome to the Bright Side.
Hey, Dan.
Hey. Got about a minute, bro.
Appreciate your show.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask about the 90 for life strategy that Deputy has there at helping coach a friend with some weight loss, and to hear more about it.
Okay, the idea of 90 for life is 90 is the 90 essential nutrients for life is for life. The 90 essential nutrients for life. Many of the problems that we're having, that we have in terms of health anyway, and mental problems and physical problems, psychological problems too, can be linked to deficiencies in one or more of these 90 essential nutrients. Now, the deficiencies come from the fact that our soils don't have the minerals that they need, and once the soils don't have the minerals, the plants can't make the proteins they need and the vitamins the vitamins, etc. So the animals that eat those plants become deficient as well. Compound that with the fact that we subsist largely on processed foods that didn't exist 200 years ago, foods that the body really doesn't know how to deal with, foods that have been strategically and systematically denuded of their nutrients. Why? Because when foods still have their full complement of nutrients, they're unstable. They can't be sold. They can't be shipped and sold as effectively. So food processors have learned to remove the nutrients and then replace them with a little smattering of nutrients, not enough to cause destabilization of the food, but enough just so you don't get a major deficiency disease. So we get fooled. We think we're eating correctly because we don't have some major deficiency disease. However, over the course of time, we do end up with deficiency-based health conditions. And the 90 for life is the concept that says you can replace those 90 essential nutrients that you're not getting in the food through a supplement program like the one designed by Doc Wallach, and that basically means the Healthy Start Pack. Thanks for your call, Ed. Appreciate it. I'm Pharmacist Ben. That's all the time we have for today. Have yourselves a wonderful, spectacular, awesome day. If you're interested in joining my team, call the Brightside Ben phone team, 866-735-2470. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.